everybody out there. You're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your identity to the masses?
Well, it's a very big corner for me because I take up a lot of room. Hi, my name is Pete Spellos. You probably know me from, who knows what you know me from? Probably around the corner at the local deli, maybe even your post office.
All I can
But
think
most
of,
likely from,
all
go
I can
ahead.
think of is that song where you walked around the corner, you walked around the block, and you walked right into a donut shop.
You just did my teenage years right in a nutshell there.
Oh God, that was a song I learned back in Girl Scout camp. I can't believe I remember
which,
it.
pro- which probably was the mid-'90s, he said bitterly that you're so young, but go ahead.
Well, how about we live some of your younger years and we take a time machine and ask what sparked your interest into acting?
Girls. And I'm not kidding you. You're laughing, but it's all about girls. You do know that. I was doing a Annie Get Your Gun in ninth grade, and I wound up getting a laugh, or a couple laughs, and the girls really seemed to react to that. You know, I wasn't a football guy or a brainiac, but you made the girls laugh. Wow, I was onto something. Little did I know I would fall into the love of my life, which was comedy, and a career that has been very, very good to me, as Garrett Morris used to say on SNL. I'm very lucky to be able to perform most of my adult life, and as I'm barreling towards 60 and Social Security, I'm still performing, and very happily so.
Well, now after catching the bug and in school, did you go to college for it, or did you kind of go to an
Yeah,
agent? What did you do next?
I was a normal kid. I went to high school up in New Rochelle and joined the drama workshop and started to do plays and really, really got the bug. And then had a couple partners in high school and college for comedy. Larry Smith was my first partner in high school. Spellos and Smith, partners in comedy. We didn't write much, but we copied everybody's stuff and would, perform locally. We performed at the high school. We performed at the junior prom, and then second partner was Brian Zoldesi, and that was like my first time at Catch a Rising Star in 1975. And then I found improv, the First Amendment Improv Company. I was the first class to graduate from there in '78, and I performed hundreds of shows with the First Amendment from '79 to '81. And at the same time, I met my partner, Jim Brownhold. Jim was, God, it was kind of an ad director, and there's another better name for that up with WPLJ. And he was in the sketch company while I was in the improv company. We hit it off because I'm a big guy and he was a skinny guy, so we got that perfect Mutt and Jeff look. And we wrote a bit for the Jim Kerr Show, and this was back in '79. Jim asked us to write a bit for a Saturday morning. And remember when this was. So we wrote a bit called the DC Nines about a Russian punk band that was moving to America because there wasn't enough oppression in Russia anymore. And it got really well received, and he said, would you come back next week and do another one? And all of a sudden, in about 3 months, Jim and I were the morning comedy team on WPLJ, and that ran from '79 to '81. So I was doing improv. I was working at a deli to really subsidize my income, and I was on the air at 26. Very heady stuff for just a kid from New Rochelle, but it really gave me the bug for everything, and I knew that, well, this was going to be my life, and I wound up having my own nightclub for 4 years in the '80s called Who's Not First. It was up on the Upper East Side, and became the improv director at the comic strip. So my comedy career just really took off in New York. I had done probably next to no voiceovers, a lot of radio, but no what would be anime voiceovers per se. And I had done one commercial in drag, believe it or not, for Miller Lite beer. Joe Piscopo was doing a series of Miller Lite commercials, and we were the women's East German Olympic swim team. Four big guys in dresses. Very, very funny, very, very funny commercial. You can actually find it online, guys. If you Google Helga Piscopo, Helga, you'll see it. I'm the blonde in the pink bow. Don't be scared.
I was about to say someone in our live chat is going to go looking for that on YouTube right now.
Absolutely. You probably won't find it on YouTube, but if you Google it, you'll find it. Believe it or not, you'll find it on a gay, lesbian, and transgender site because we were all dressed in drag. and that's really the best place to find it. You'll see it. You can't miss it. It's a funny spot. So I did that till 1989, and then I moved out to. I was teaching college also. My alma mater, CW Post, and putting my own young improv companies together. Had my own improv company at my nightclub. So it got to a point where life got a little difficult personally, and I loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly in my 30s, and that's where I began my TV, film, and anime career.
Now, everyone says that that move is like a big deal for an actor and it's kind of intimidating, but were you intimidated?
Well, I grew up in New York my whole life, so intimidated what by Los Angeles? No, I was more intimidated with the fact that I was going to be 3,000 miles from everybody I ever knew. But I did know a few comics who worked for me out there, and I fell right into a theater company where I started teaching improv and performing, and I got right into it. Writers write, actors act, performers perform. As the Sundance Kid said, do what you're good at, Butch. So I just tried to get busy as best I can, and started to meet some good people, and got an agent, and started to work, and one push came to shove, and bingo, I started my new career in TV, film, and anime.
Well, now, how did you find yourself falling into anime? Because most people, when they get into anime, they don't really know what it is.
Well, it really wasn't anime first. It was a series for Fox Kids. I was actually doing an episode of FBI: The Untold Stories as a bad cop. That's all I have to say about that. And I got a call from a buddy of mine and said, "Can you make an audition?" I said, "Well, I'm on the set right now." He said, "Would you call this director up? We have a part that we need done for tonight for the series called Space Strikers for Fox Kids." And literally, I was standing by a garbage can having lunch, and I pulled a plate out of the garbage and a pen and called the director and wrote down the dialogue. His name is Stu Rosen, and I auditioned right there on the spot for a character called Admiral Malco, some sort of shark creature. And by the time lunch was over, I had booked the anime, or actually the animated series for that night. Had no clue it was going to be 13 more episodes, that their character was recurring, and that's how I literally fell into it thanks to a friend.
Well, that's not a bad thing. You should thank that friend.
Oh no, I still do. I'm actually godfather to the children, so that's how close we still are.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Well, with anime specifically, a lot of people sometimes have difficulty
And
with
you know
it.
what, Jackie, in case he's
Hmm.
listening, his name is Kevin Schoen. So I just wanted to give him props for bringing me in. Kevin was God. He's done so many. He dwarfs me in what I've done in my career for voiceovers. And you probably know him as one of the backup voices of. Which one was the little guy, Timon or Pumbaa?
Oh, I believe it was Timon.
He did a lot of stuff with Timon as well. So, Kev, if you're listening, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm here because you're here.
Well, now, one thing with anime that we, have to ask is a lot of people have trouble, dubbing over it. But some people just fall into it really easily, maybe because they have a musical background or something along those lines. So did you find it difficult at all?
No, I fell into it really easily for a couple of reasons. One, it is musical, by the way. You really have to get. It's just about beats and pacing, and I had taken a class with some friends of mine who were teaching literally a dubbing class for film. And I got to the class and she goes, "You're great at this." And I had a lot of practice doing my own dubbing for film work because, again, my main mode of making money was through film and TV, not through anime. So I was already comfortable doing my own dubbing because I had been doing it for the films and TV shows I did. So when I got to anime, I still feel like I'm the worst one in the room because, I'm working with a lot of guys who have just been voiceover guys most of their lives, and that's what they've done. And I always thought, I was the actor who was doing voiceovers in the room. So I always did my best and always hoped for a character with a sync I didn't have to sync, And ever since Pro Tools came in, well, that made it much easier for those who know what Pro Tools is.
Definitely. I mean, I will say one of the roles that I know you from growing up was from Outlaw Star, which ironically you
Now,
didn't have to match too many lip flaps there because he was a computer.
no, first of all, that you said one of my series I loved you in growing up, and that really stuck deep in my heart right now, Jackie. That was another youthful comment that hurt. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm teasing, don't you worry. Outlaw Star, I have to thank out loud Wendy Lee, who was the director on the project. Um, Wendy was one of the few people who heard my voice and did not hear this guy over here, some sort of military guy or rough guy. She basically let me be a sort of a C-3PO voice of the ship, and I had a blast. I haven't listened to them in years. I have the box set, but I so enjoyed working that series because she's a great, great woman director and friend, and really kind of heard me differently and allowed me to, do something I don't normally do, which is act with anime. They kind of hear your voice and they type you and use you with the voice you have. But Wendy went beyond that, and I was always very grateful. I love Outlaw Star.
Well, it was kind of funny because I was looking over your credits and I was talking with my producer Chris about it, and he was telling me about your character in Digimon and a few others, and I could remember those voices, and a lot of them were all deep, but Outlaw Star really sticks out because the computer's not deep at all.
No, I tried to keep them very, almost like this, like I was doing C-3PO, and whatever they phased, and of course they can pitch it up, they can phase it a little bit, and it was grand because it was unlike anything. I wasn't blowing anybody up, I wasn't stabbing anybody. There was, nobody, trying to attack me. I wasn't playing, Sagat from Stealth Fighter, Street Fighter 2, or one of the other things from the different series, or even Skybite from Transformers, which probably was next to Outlaw Star the favorite thing I've ever done. We had such a blast on that.
Well, I think that's a good time to take a break here on 91.8 The Fan, but for anybody out there who hasn't heard that voice in a while, why don't you pull out your Outlaw Star box sets? Keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Howdy, everybody out there. You're still tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. Where else would you be tuned in? And hopefully, you popped in those Outlaw Star discs and you're watching at the same time you're listening to this interview with my fantabulous guest. Are you still alive over there?
Hey, I'm still alive here at 81.9 The Fan. Was it 91.8? Who cares? I'm sorry, I got in an AM distracting thing. I got really upset with it. Yeah, it's Pete Spellos. Hi, I'm back.
That
I'm
is
back. I'm
so
with
nice.
Jackie, and we're having a good time here.
We are. We're actually having some really interesting conversations in the background. It was actually a little bit funny because we were trying to ask you, are you this one character from Bleach? Because I had a lot of our people from the live chat ask me to ask about it because some websites on the internet list it, and you didn't necessarily remember the character.
No, I definitely didn't necessarily remember the character. I remember doing the show, but you do so much, as we were saying, it becomes who you are even more than what you do. You go to work, you get called for an episode, and you say, of course I can come in and do it, and you go in and do it, and then you walk out and go, what was the name of that show that I just did? And you kind of, when you do a lot, and I don't want it to sound like it's ego, but when you've done a lot, when I was very young in my career, I would tape everything I did. I would try and get a copy of everything. I wanted to, complete my and have it there. But, when you get past your 50s, you're going, all right, I got to get to Starbucks after this. I need a coffee. So you would do your work and you would forget. Now, I remember doing the show, but I cannot tell you if I did that character. And as the Internet is showing, neither can the Internet tell if it was me or not.
Well, it seems like, when people first begin in voice acting, from my own experience, they want to get everything they can and they want to really judge their own performance and rewatch it. But as they get more and more experience, they don't necessarily have to go back and watch it.
No, and I do have a couple of my own favorite things I've done over the years. Back in the day, I did a series called Blackjack, and I did an episode that was called Nighttime Tale in the Snow. And it was just really wonderful, long episode. And, that just didn't require funny voices. It required, a little sensitivity. And it's stuff like that I would make sure that, I can now get a copy on iTunes, It's again, like we talked about, it's a whole new world. I could barely get a VHS, Betamax copy of a tape 20, 25 years ago. And now I can just go on iTunes and plug my name in and see who's selling my stuff bootleg.
Well, it's kind of amazing to see so many digital distribution, things out there because I'm one of those people who wants more junk. So I want the case and I want the disc in the case and it has to be official because I'm like a collector. But there's so many people pushing for like, well, I just want to download it.
Watch Jackie on Hoarding Fridays at 9 on the Learning Channel.
I'm pretty bad with video games, specifically with PlayStation 2. I have about 300 video games that I refuse to trade in or sell because those are mine, and I'll go back and I'll play one day. Like
Here,
all
we still have somewhere in the closet the Mattel Intellivision, because that was the video game we had. That's how far back that goes. It's still in there with its sort of dot matrix kind of games, and I could not even play. I would go into some hyperbolic chamber, some epileptic fit when I watch these. I've done voices for the games, but I can't play them. That's for sure.
well, don't feel
And
bad
don't.
because I still have our old ColecoVision.
I'm getting misty. All of a sudden, you're going to start talking about Atari and Pong, and it's going to get sad in here.
I have an
Okay.
Atari 2600 too, but never mind.
God, God, if you weren't so young, I'd propose right now, Jackie. A woman after my own heart.
Now all the fanboys are gonna get antsy about that.
Well, you know what?
But now,
Those
in
boys can
terms of
get in
any
line.
projects that, well, in terms of any projects that you've been working on, whether it's theater or animation or TV, is there anything you'd like to promote for the listeners out there?
Well, I almost. I just got back to New York. My mom's been ill, and that's why I moved back from Los Angeles to New York. And I'm really like a rookie again. I left New Rochelle 35 years ago. I left New York City almost 23 years ago, and here I come back with all these credits, and nobody knows me. So it's kind of sweet starting over. But I have two dear friends, Carol Montgomery, who used to work for me, you might know her as National Mom, nationalmom.com. She's an amazing stand-up comic, and Jim Madrino's her partner. We're putting together a comedy school for September in New York, where I'm going to be teaching again improv comedy, and she's going to be teaching stand-up, and we're going to be teaching different scene study for actors. Really looking forward to it. Carol was both a friend and a client back in the day at my nightclub, and she is one of the best stand-up comics in the country. So is Jim Mendrinos. He's probably the top stand-up teacher. Um, I can keep you posted with that. You guys can always contact me at peterspellos@gmail.com. That's my direct email. I write everybody back. Also, you can follow me, P. Spellos, P, the letter Spellos, on Twitter. Or you can check 918 The Fan. I'm here every once in a while, too, now, it looks like. And hopefully more conventions, too. I did a great anime, a BotCon convention for Transformers years ago, and that was just so much fun. It's a humbling experience when a kid comes up to you, a kid in a wheelchair with his wife, and says, I drove 9 hours to meet you, and the first thing you do is you go, I'm going to buy you drinks for the next 3 days. And I'm just I'm just a kid from New Rochelle who followed his dreams, Jack. At 58, I became the man I said I was going to become when I was 16. I mean, that's the best thing I could say to anybody listening out there. Jimmy Valvano used to say, don't give up, don't ever give up. And if this is what you want, you can do this. And don't let anybody tell you you can't. I don't care what they say. They're not you. Believe me, if I can make it, anybody can. Because it's just about perseverance. I mean, the hardest thing you're going to have to deal with is not working for long periods of time. Believe me, if I work 20 days a year, that's successful in this business doing TV and film. So you really got to understand that you got to follow your dreams. So that's what I still get to do. I still get to play, and I love to teach. I've been doing that for almost 3.5 decades, so I look forward to doing that in New York. And I'm probably the only actor now who hasn't been on Law and Order SUV or one of those shows that film in New York, so I'm sure I can get work doing that after all the television I've done. And hey, you can even, we were just talking before, you can even go to YouTube/user/TheGreek13, or just look up Peter Spellos. That's my reel. You can see all the other stuff I've done from 3 seasons on American Dreams on NBC to when I played Jerry Garcia as God on a TV show called Rude Awakening.
Well, hopefully you'll let us know about anything else that comes down the pipeline. That way we can let the listeners know. And hopefully you get to go to another convention because it's so great, I think, for actors to be able to actually interact with the fans. Because most of the time you're just in a small booth or on a set. You don't get to really meet those people.
No, you don't even get to interact with your fellow actors. I mean, except when they do a series from scratch, it's you alone in the booth with a great engineer and director and perhaps the client. But it's you standing there, having a coffee with a headset on, going, yeah, "It's a wonderful job. It's a little lonely, but it's a wonderful job." It's I get to play. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. What we do is not rocket science, and it's not the hard work that policemen and firemen do in the city. It's a gift job. So I feel very, very lucky that I get to go on different sets and different booths and be different people aside from my bad old self.
Well, I want to say since we're nearing the end of this interview, and you actually kind of behind the scenes, almost opted to do this, we have a tradition here on 91.8 The Fan that we ask everyone if they'd be willing to participate in.
Absolutely. Without even knowing what the tradition is, I'm willing to participate. Since I know that things about your mother and her computer right now that I could say on there, but I won't.
Well, that's fine. You could say that. I make fun of my mom all the time on air. She loves me, I think. Anyway, we ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Absolutely. What do you need?
We basically ask if you could say, "Hello, my name is," you insert your name. "I do this." You can put characters, you can say that you're an actor, you can put whatever you want there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Great. Tell me when.
Whenever you're ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Hi. Oh, see, you jumped on me. You can't be speaking at the same time. It's not a double act here, Jackie. Are you ready?
Yes.
Hi. This is Peter Spellos. You may know me. I've been killed by Lois Lane. I've been neuralized by Agent J. I'm a transformer. I've turned into Freddy Krueger. And when I'm doing nothing or when I'm doing everything, I'm always listening to 91.8 The Fan. You better be too.
Oh, that was fabulous. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
And now you obviously gave a very nice speech to the masses out there, but is there anything else you'd like to say to the listeners?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, because you keep us alive and working. Without you, we're just strange men standing and women standing in a booth on weekday mornings making funny noises into a microphone. But you listen, you buy the stuff, you come out to the conventions. As Sarah Bernhardt used to say, without you, we are nothing. Thanks, guys.
And thank you. This was a ton of fun.
Me too, Jack. Anytime, give me a call, and don't let that Chris Smith push you around.
Don't worry, I don't. He always does things for me. Anyway, for any of the listeners out there, if you missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.